Today I wanted to talk about what you just mentioned about when you know that you are shielding yourself from being in alignment. How do you stop that and become better at it? Because I know sometimes that I'm choosing to have a bad day. Like, I can stub my toe and just let it ruin my whole morning, or I can stub my toe and like go on my day. But sometimes I think the more I know about the law of attraction, the more I can control it, the more sometimes I do it in a negative way.
Well, that really is why we're talking about step 5.
Right.
Step 5 is no longer being mad at yourself when you're in step 1.
I'm having so much of a blockage right now with...
Let us tell you why and then what to do about it. Because, really good question, and expressed in a way that everyone can relate. The answer that we so much want you to hear is, don't be mad at yourself when you're having one of those bad days, because law of attraction is helping you to have one of those bad days, because there is momentum about those subjects that is just sort of carrying you away with it. And in the same way that if you are in an avalanche on the side of a snowy mountain, you're probably going to go in the direction of the avalanche. And so the answer, what to do about it, is to wait for another time when the momentum is not carrying you so strongly in a direction that you don't want to go. In other words, pretty soon the avalanche is going to stop and you're going to poke your head up out of the snow and it's going to be a bright sunny day and you're going to move on. In other words, there is going to be a time that's easier than in this time that you're describing, in which you're being so hard on yourself. So the words that we want you to hear and remember from this conversation as you're moving forward in the next days is, do your best to get out ahead of it when you're feeling good. Don't try to stop momentum when it is moving in a direction that doesn't feel good, because the momentum is not going to let you do that. But wait for a time when there's not that kind of momentum, and then practice a better feeling momentum. So each time you practice a better feeling momentum, what happens is you get this overall momentum of well-being going, so that then you can ride out those conditions that show up every now and again. That's why you gave us the perfect example. Sometimes when you stub your toe and you've got that negative momentum going, it feels like just the last straw that's just going to take you down. And why even try? Damn. My toe is hurting, my toe is hurting, my toe is hurting. But if you've got a different kind of momentum going, and you're not watching what you're doing sort of out of excitement and enthusiasm, and you trip up, even though it hurts, because the positive momentum is stronger, then you don't let it turn into a terrible day. So it's all about what the direction of your momentum was about before this situation happened. Now, in the stubbing of your toe, there's a lot of self-blame in that sort of thing. But instead of saying you've stubbed your toe, let's say that somebody up close to you is introducing themselves into your experience in a negative way. It's easier for you to hear it. Haven't you noticed that sometimes when that happens, you ride more easily with it, and sometimes when it happens, you let that be the reason that they've picked a fight with you? And so it's all about what's the momentum before it happened. When you go to sleep at night, momentum subsides. You have a much better opportunity when you first wake up in the morning to get your momentum going in the aligned way, in the receptive mode way. And it helps to have had some bad days, enough of them that it makes you decide, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the respite that my slumber has given me. I'm going to accept that momentum has subsided dramatically. And when you wake up in the morning, think on purpose. Think purposefully about things that do feel better. Don't go back to the subject that was bothering you yesterday, or you just begin the negative momentum all over again. So it's sort of like this. Different subjects have different momentum. They're not all active in you at the same time. Anything that you're not thinking about right now is inactive. Now, we have not said this before, so enjoy this new understanding of this, and we are appreciating your question that brings us to this place. Anything that you are not thinking about is not active right now, and so your point of attraction doesn't include it, and you're not increasing the momentum of it right now. But everything that you've ever felt about anything still is right there where you left it. And so when you start thinking it again, you're going to pick up the momentum of it right where you last left it. Ooh, isn't that interesting to know? So stay off those hot button subjects, or do your best when you're feeling good to find another way, if you can, of thinking about it. So we have two things that we're encouraging you to do. One, wake up and try to change the subject. And two, realize that whatever it is that you're thinking about is gathering momentum, so be mindful of what you're adding momentum to. Just be mindful of what you're adding momentum to. You might even say, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. It's kind of a little tricky because every subject is two subjects. And so on one end of the stick is what you want, and on the other end of the stick is the absence of what you want. And sometimes you might think that you're thinking about what you want when actually you're activating it where you last left it, and so it's in a vibration where you don't want it. So we like to give this analogy. You may have heard us give this before, but it's going to settle in with you right now. Let's say there are 5 important subjects in your life that you think about from time to time. 5 really important subjects. And let's say that 4 of them are going really well. Really positive momentum on those. And 1 of them not going well. Really negative momentum on those. If you chew on the one that doesn't feel good, you hold yourself in the receptive mode of what you don't want relative to everything, because you're setting your vibrational frequency based upon what you're thinking about. So you could have 4 things going bad and 1 thing going good, and you could discipline yourself to focus on the one thing that's feeling good, and it would raise the vibration within you so that you could no longer rendezvous with the things that are not working for you on the other 4 subjects, and they would all have to improve. Isn't that nice to know? So are you following us when we talk about your point of attraction? You know how you establish what your point of attraction is? By what you broadcast. What you're broadcasting, what you're thinking about, what you're speaking, what you're talking about, that's what sets your point of attraction. So let's say that something has happened, and overall, you mostly feel good about most things, but you're focused upon this thing that doesn't feel good. You're letting it control your point of attraction. So even though the universe has already found solutions to get you to where you want to go, you can't get in the receptive mode and even get a good idea about those solutions, because you're focused on the one thing that is bothering you. So now we've given you a basis, and we've watched you take it in. So now where are you? What do you want to introduce into the conversation now?
That I previously felt that I was attracting more, and maybe kind of, you said some people like the drama of it, and they don't want to go a softer way sometimes.
Before you say more about that, we want to soothe it within you before you compound it more in yourself. What that is about is when energy moves, it feels like power, whether it's moving towards something you want or towards something you don't want. And most humans like the feeling of productivity. So you like the idea of things in motion. That's why when we say freedom and growth and joy, you usually say, yes, growth, growth, growth. And we say freedom and growth and joy. And you say, yes, growth, growth, growth. Because it feels like you're making something happen. You're going to wrestle it to the ground and kill it. And so that's all that is. In an action-oriented world, which we're trying to guide you away from being so much action-oriented, in an action-oriented world, if there's a tug of war, you want to line up and pull against your opposition. But in a vibrational world, which is really what this world is about, that's not working out very well.
I was mistaken thinking that I liked and was setting up the drama of it rather than not tuning into what you're saying and practicing the momentum of positive.
But don't be hard on yourself, because, sometimes in messing around in the drama of something, you're launching more rockets of desire. That's where your expansion is coming from. So that's why step 5 is such an important step. Don't be mad at yourself when you're being more dramatic than you need to be, or when you're amplifying something that you don't want, because you are launching more rockets. But after a while, you have to come to the awareness, I got enough rockets launched over here to keep myself busy for 20 or 30 lifetimes. Maybe it's time for me to give up the battle and just start allowing the goodness that I've gathered to occur to me. And we want to put something else in this conversation, because this is an important thing to understand. So you have the sense of this vortex, and we have helped you to feel the logic of it gathering and progressing and becoming more. And for a while, we wrote a book called Getting Into the Vortex, because we wanted you to realize that here is all this wonderful stuff, but you got to get in there where it is in order to experience it. Well, recently we're saying that in a slightly different way. We're saying your vortex exists with everything that you want. You've put the pieces of it in, and it has culminated into something that you can't even identify or see. You put the pieces in so incrementally, you have no idea the magnificent life you have built for yourself. When you're feeling good, for no good reason other than that you want to, when you're feeling good and you're in the receptive mode, that's when ideas occur to you. That's when you begin the conscious experience of turning those non-physical vibrations and thoughts to things. So everything that you're about, we want you to just focus on, am I in the receptive mode of my vortex, or am I in the receptive mode of something else? You're always in the receptive mode. It's like you can tune your radio tuner to anything that you want, and some of it pleases you and some of it doesn't. You've got your control of where you set your tuner. So if we can convince you that it is as simple as wanting to feel good, because everything you want will occur to you and the journey will unfold, and it'll be a delicious journey as it unfolds, after a while you just reach the place where there's just no good reason to stay very long in a negative place, because you have these tools. You can meditate. That stops thought, therefore that stops momentum. You can take a nap. That stops thought, therefore that stops momentum. You can get a good night's sleep, even better. That stops thought, therefore that stops momentum. You can make lists of positive aspects. You can amplify when you do feel good. You can get out ahead of it. You can increase the momentum of things that feel good. So it just gets easier and easier, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it sounds good, but now what?
It just also, sometimes the more aware of it you are, it's easier to hop into the other vortex sometimes, the one that's not.
But why is that? Simply because there's more momentum going.
Right.
Did that momentum about that unwanted thing have any power in my experience before I turned my attention to it? No. It doesn't matter how big, bad, and awful it was. If it's not in your active attention right now, it's not part of the game. It's not part of the attraction process right here and now. This conversation may help you to want to be more deliberate in your thought. We also want it to help you be less hard on yourself when momentum sweeps you away. We also want it to make you feel more eager to get the other momentum going, so that it is the dominant momentum within you. We want to ask you a series of questions, and they're easy questions, so just answer them with the first thought that comes to you. It's going to be an either or. So, is your desire, your overall desire, to be happy or sad?
Happy.
Do you think that the momentum of your life is more about happiness or sadness?
It's shifting.
Do you think that your intention is to be nice or mean?
Nice.
Do you think that you laugh more or cry more?
Laugh.
Do you feel more happiness about the world around you or anger about the world around you? It's all right. As you step back and look at the world from a further back standpoint, do you feel happier about it or angry about it?
Happier.
Is there something in your life that's easier to be mad about than happy about?
Yes.
Are you sort of getting what we're getting at?
Yes.
We just want to say to you that your momentum is positive, not negative. Your momentum is joyful, not mean or angry or sad. The true momentum of who you are. And we're not even talking about the source energy part of you, which makes it no contest whatsoever. If we add your inner being to the equation, then none of these questions would have ever even been viable at all. Because the dominance of who you are is someone who is blessed and worthy and knows it and is loving. But we're just talking about you in your physical personality. Your momentum is positive momentum, predominantly positive momentum. And of course, you're going to have a step one moment every now and again where it doesn't feel so much that way. And of course, you can get all tangled up in something and pushing against it so that day after day after day it sort of feels that way. But don't let those illusions of your disconnection convince you that that's who you are, because that is not who you are, you see.